Should you get a reward for dobbing in tax dodgers? The number's 0207 862 2222. Do give me a call on this one. I'll speak to you in just a moment. HMRC is planning to launch a reward scheme similar to what's already going on in the US. They're hoping that it'll help them claw back billions of pounds that is lost through tax evasion. It would see informants get compensation linked to the amount that the taxman manages to get back, perhaps as much as 25%. HMRC does already ask taxpayers to inform them if they suspect people of underpaying tax, but this is all done on a discretionary basis, whereas this new plan would be a more structured scheme with potentially bigger rewards. So would you be prepared to dob someone in for a cash reward when it was actually a family member or a friend? Carole, to dob people in for not paying tax or not paying enough tax?
I think everyone should pay their tax. Me personally, I mean, I wouldn't dream of not paying my tax. I'm too scared of HMRC. I mean, every time I see a letter with a name on, I get frightened. So yeah, I think people should. However, and I don't mind the idea of in people dobbing companies in that are tax evading. Don't mind that. What I don't like and what HMRC asks people to do is to dob members of their family in it. I think this could cause enormous damage to families. And I don't know how anyone in your family would actually know if you were properly tax avoiding anyway. But I think, trying to split families up is really difficult. In America, they have a system. They actually have a dobbing in office where you can actually contact it directly. But you have to be involved in a fraud that's of $2 million or more, I think, which is going to knock us out. Maybe not Vanessa, but certainly us.
I believe that in this country currently, there is a way you just ring an anonymous line and you can dob anyone in at all. So that means that if you dobbed your first cousin in, they wouldn't know it was you. They'd never have the faintest idea. So it wouldn't break up your family because they wouldn't know you'd done it.
But isn't that wrong? That means anyone, knowing that they might remain anonymous, can dob all of us who are on television, we could be dobbed in for any reason just because somebody doesn't like the look of our face.
Yes, and then HMRC would investigate. They'd find that obviously we're all above board and squeaky clean.
Yes,
so nothing would go wrong.
It's a lot of stress, it takes a lot of time, and you have to pay a lot of money to have that investigated. So it is a stressful situation.
But the situation, JJ, is that HMRC is desperately trying to claw back money any way it can, any which way. Yeah. And you could say that if you know that a member of the family or somebody you work for or somebody who asked you to help them with their tax filing or whatever it is, is not paying tax, it's almost an obligation to report them rather than something you really have to think about too deeply.
I think so. This country loses $5.5 billion a year through tax evasion. You and I have been friends for years. We went to Abu Dhabi together. If I found out you were evading tax, we'll call up and dob you in if I'm going to get paid a bit of money for it.
I do the same to you. In fact, hang on, let me make it.
I'll never dob you in, Vanessa. But for strangers and businesses, I've got no issue with it. Like, the law is the law, Carole. If you're breaking the law, I don't care who it is. They should be dobbed in, and they should all have to pay what they're owed.
Everyone should pay their tax, but I don't like that.
If they don't pay their tax,
being pitted against each other. But how many people do you think how many people working in a company would properly know if their company was evading tax? Probably only 2 people, maybe the accountant, the chief accountant. The rest would just be guesswork on the part of employees. You couldn't possibly know the company you're working
but that's down to
you could see if people were being paid in cash. You could see if there was money being taken out of the sort of kitty that was somehow going out the back door. So you'd have an idea, wouldn't you, maybe? And lots of people would kind of overlook it, but the idea that you might get 25% of whatever they save might be a massive inducement to dob them in, I suppose.
Last year, HMRC only paid out 978 grand to people who dob people in. That's chicken feed. They need to be paying proper money.
Imagine 25% of what you save HMRC. I mean, that might really make the difference. So speak to Ian, who's in Staffordshire. Hello, Ian.
Hi, Vanessa. Can I just say that you and Carole both look lovely?
Oh, yes. This is a good day.
Yes, you may say that.
Thank you.
Rude.
And JJ, you look nothing special at all.
No, nothing.
Nobody wants to. Ian, we're delighted and thank you very much indeed. We're very, very pleased. Tell me about dobbing people in, particularly, obviously, tax dodgers. Would you do it? Have you done it?
Dob someone in, but I wouldn't want any money for it. I'm in a difficult situation. I used an electric wheelchair because I got injured in the Air Force. And because they rated my disability over 20%, I don't pay tax on my RAF pension.
Right.
But I'm on ESA, and that is taxable, but it's under the rate that I would pay tax.
Okay.
But I just...
Who did you dob in, Ian?
I haven't dobbed anyone in because I don't know anybody who actually
I thought you said you
has
had.
done it.
Yeah, I thought you
Right,
said
but so are you saying that your tax situation is sort of complicated, or what are you thinking about? What are you? You're not telling us about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is complicated because.
But no one's suggested that you're not paying tax the right amount, have they?
No one said that.
Good.
But
Good.
I don't have to pay tax on my Air Force pension.
Well, that sounds only fair, given that you had that injury, and I'm so sorry to hear about it. Thank you very much, Ian. Lovely to talk to you. Let's go to Kelly on Facebook, who says, stop looking at the poor who dodge and look a little harder at the loophole dodgers.
Right, she's absolutely right. That's absolutely true. They're asking, neighbour to snitch on neighbour, family to snitch on family, but the real people they should be going after are the big companies who use loopholes in the law. And I think the perception is, and it's the right perception, that rich people can exploit the loopholes because they can afford fancy lawyers to do it. Poor people cannot afford to do that, and they get very resentful that they're paying their full 40% tax, and companies like Google and Apple and all the rest are paying a pittance.
Well, there's a number of celebrities who have been outed over the past few years for tax evasion. They weren't accused of illegal things, but they were having, as you say,
avoidance.
Avoidance is
of tax avoidance. I think we should go after people like that much more so.
Well, I think so. Yeah,
but even bigger than that are the enormous companies, the huge multi-billion conglomerate companies that somehow manage to trade in this country, turn an enormous profit, like mind-blowing, and somehow through technical things of where they're actually based offshore and all those clever out clauses that ordinary people like us couldn't possibly even pretend to understand, get away with not paying any tax at all in this country, or just a few pennies. That really is astounding. And also the forming of these trusts, which mean that the tax is all locked away in some ingenious kind of scheme that means that they're free of it. And you're quite right. People just making a living and can't possibly have access to that.
It's interesting that the government announced this yesterday, and a bit much of our government actually to do that, and also other parties, because a lot of politicians have money, exactly as you've just said, stashed away offshore, stashed away in special trusts, all the rest of it. We know that I'm not even going to name names, but everyone knows who I'm talking about politically who has done that. And it's just, it's naughty to go after the little person for a tiny amount of money. Go after the big companies and get teams of people to go after them. Don't be turning neighbour on neighbour. I don't want to live in a snitchy society. I don't like it.
Our government and successive governments have given tax breaks and special allowances to the big companies because they're bringing in employment and investment into the country.
Well, but they're bringing in so much and their profits are so big that they can afford to pay a bit more tax than they are.
Yeah,
and that's the point.
And I tell you what really gets to me is when people who, own a 2-bedroom flat somewhere on the outskirts of London, who are by no means rich and have worked really hard in their lives, are absolutely stung when they pass away by inheritance tax.
Completely.
And then people who have, estates and huge property portfolios and, servants' wings and, shooting a pheasant and whatever it is, they somehow have got it all tied up in a trust and they don't pay anything. And you just think, hang on, that's not fair, is it, really?
I just don't like the idea of setting, neighbour on neighbour. I think it's a terrible idea as a society and it causes divisions.